everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Aisle. I'm your co-host here, my main man, Dewan.
What's up?
We have a special guest for you today. I'm going to throw it over to Dewan and let you give him his accolades and all his...
Is accolades the word we want to use? It's such a strong word.
I think it is,
Oh.
honestly.
There we go.
You're not going to be a bully if you use accolades.
That's right. I'm sorry. Close fist. Welcome to the aisle, guys. We are glad to have you here with us. This is a good friend of mine. You probably heard us talk about him. We usually try to talk good about him, but sometimes the negative things come out, and that's all right. He understands. But today's going to be a good show, a good episode. It's another one of those where people I have done life with hand in hand has come onto the show to kind of share some of their life. And so you get to kind of hear some of the things that I have heard, many of the things that we talk about and work through. I also talk to you guys a lot about in discipleship, having that person in front of you and that person behind you that you are pouring into. And so this is one of the guys that guy I'm pouring into and discipling and developing and growing. I'm super proud of him. And I am excited for you guys to get to know him, get to hear about his story. Mr. Josh Goad.
Ladies and gentlemen.
The man of the hour.
I've been mentioned at least once because Blake doesn't like being uplifted, and I uplifted him.
Yes.
But it's okay. I have a lot of Blakeisms. Some of them will come out today.
Blake is the king.
Hi, everybody. I'm Josh Goad.
I'm going to leave directly.
I'm Josh Goad. I go to Family Worship Center. I know both these men. As Dewan said, when I came back to Christ about 4 years ago, he was the man who started mentoring me back. Started pushing me down the walk of not just knowing Christ, but getting an intimate personal relationship with him.
Has it been 4 years?
Yes, it has.
Wow.
It doesn't feel like it.
It feels longer, actually.
It feels less than that.
Really?
Really?
The high school
Yeah.
career?
Because 5 years is when everything happened with me that pushed me back to Christ. So, and the year after that's when we met.
Jeez.
Yep.
I think it's
Really
weird
fast.
because I just feel like I've always
Really,
known
really fast.
It's more like
Weird.
closer to 3.5, but it's closer to 4.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. It's I went down through a path and started correcting my life to align it with Christ, with this man's great mentorship, and then started taking over leadership roles that I didn't want to do, that God just kept forcing me in. I literally got to a point where God was telling me more. I was like, what do you mean more? I'm volunteering here, and here. And he was like, more. And then eventually he put me into a leadership role at a church, and then you got to see all the more unfold.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't understand why the more was there, and then we needed help dramatically and not magically, by faith and by what his works. I had made friends in all these other places he put me in to grow our leadership. And then when I got to take over, it made things grow dramatically. It's been pretty awesome. We saw the fruits of that last night. That's why I'm tired. I'm going to yawn a lot. Sorry.
Yes. Right. You're doing great, sweetie.
You're fine. We'll get you a pillow. So, you are originally from where?
I am from Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
The borough.
I am born and raised here. My grandparents are one of the founding members of our church.
Wow.
We're grandmother.
History.
Yeah.
He's an anchor to history and doesn't even realize it.
Correct.
Yep. So, Murfreesboro. Where'd you go to school at in Murfreesboro?
Oh, you want to go down this path?
Yeah, I do.
I went down almost every school in Murfreesboro at least once.
Yes.
Except for Blackman. I never went to any of the Blackmans, but that's because they came later and I didn't go to Black Fox.
Okay.
And then, in Oakland. I went to Riverdale for 3 days. I went to Daniel Key. I'm not going there. I went to one semester.
Just a short stint.
But I graduated.
A quick jaunt.
I graduated from Siegel.
Okay. So no Oakland?
Oakland never went. I was technically supposed to at one point, but I was a junior in Siegel and I had my own car, so I was still going to Siegel.
Yeah.
So you used a fake
Oakland
address.
line.
I did use a fake address. I lived with my granny too.
I definitely used my grandma's address in middle school. Sorry.
Yeah.
To stay at my school.
I use a lot of fake addresses.
Wow.
It wasn't fake. I had a room there. I lived there.
Yeah, I didn't.
When I needed to.
I had family members. So, like, I used my granddad's address for a lot of things. And then we moved from Murfreesboro because we had to. They were building a bridge in our backyard, and I was sophomore at Oakland, and I didn't want to switch schools. We moved to Smyrna temporarily, and then we ended up building a house in Laverne. But I just used my granddad's address.
You're driving from Laverne to Oakland?
Because my mom worked at State Farm, so she had to come into town
anyway.
Yeah,
And
it was.
have you seen Laverne schools? I'd go to Oakland too.
Yeah, you would, especially then.
Oh yeah,
you didn't want to go. Shout out to Laverne.
Shout out to Joe Henson. No,
My
shout out.
I
You
still
made
love
it out.
y'all,
You did
but-
it. It's the Hunger Games. The Hunger Games.
Blood
Yeah,
in, blood out.
So
It was an interesting journey in Laverne and Smyrna back in the day. They've gotten better. They've gotten much better.
I don't even know Smyrna now anymore. It's so changed so much.
well, I
since when
did
was a
meet the
kid.
new school counselor that they have. She's like a mother figure, so hopefully she'll be a great addition
At Smyrna.
at Smyrna High School. Yeah, hopefully
Nice.
she'll help out a lot.
Nice. Laverne High School made the basketball state tournament the first time ever.
Really?
This past season, yeah. I was
Nice.
like, wow, okay, guys. They've come a long way.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I have no clue about
Reach
any
for the
of this.
stars.
Yeah. Yeah. They've never, ever made it. So, anyway, so you went to every school in Murfreesboro.
Just
except
about.
for Oakland.
I went.
Legally. That's just fine.
And like,
I went to McFadden before it was a magnet school. I went to Central before it was a magnet school.
Yeah. So did I.
Yeah.
It was a middle school. But before that, it was a high school.
yeah, that's what I heard.
It's been here forever. Like, if
It's
you're
like
100,
Holloway. It's been 100 things.
if you're 100 years old, you went to Central. That's how long it's been there. It's like the main school.
I'm
Before there
like a
was
sit
other high
down now.
schools.
We're both going to sit down in the history of Murfreesboro.
Well, Holloway was actually a segregation school.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Yes.
It was
Whoa.
a only black school.
That makes sense.
I mean, look where it's at.
I mean, honestly.
I
Wow. No.
We're unfolding Murfreesboro for you,
Correct.
Mike.
I need like a. I didn't move here till 2010. So
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're missing all the history.
yeah, I was born in MTMC, so it doesn't even exist no more.
No, it's gone.
It's a field.
is that the old hospital next to
Mhm.
MTSU? Yes.
They tore it down. What's there, a parking garage now?
It's nothing. It's a field right now. At least it was last time I drove over there.
Gotcha. Okay.
Who go down Highland on a regular basis? I don't.
No,
Oh, it's probably a parking garage then.
Probably.
it may be. Who knows? So, how did you end up from high school into the service to the military?
Bad life needed to break chains. I wanted to break the cycle of my family.
Yeah.
I wanted to be something different, and I always said that joining the army was dumb for me because I had a hero complex. Totally do, but it wasn't.
We're taking counseling for that.
It gave me some maturity, and also gave me some perspective on life. I made a lot of bad choices while I was in there.
Yeah.
A lot. And I ran from God from there, to be honest with you. But it allowed me to grow on my own 2 feet a little bit. It's the way I know.
Yeah.
It also taught me that blood is not always thicker than water.
No.
There are friends out there that will be better brothers to you than your own brothers, so on and so forth.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So while you're there, it did not start well,
No.
right? What was one of those things that kind of like, because I know some of them, but what are some of the things, I guess, that kind of started to shift your perspective on how you saw things, how you saw your life, how you saw your future, all those different things?
To be honest with you, when I first got there, I thought I was going to be like go down this path where I'd be a pastor when I was one day, and then I just kept letting the world affect me more. And then when we went to Iraq, and everyone's events there are different. But when you go there and you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, you have IEDs hit your trucks. You have things like this happen that you get used to the sound of a mortar.
Yeah,
you get used to a lot of things.
Yeah,
and
which isn't healthy.
No,
at all. Yeah,
you get used to like suspecting people being doing bad things, even though they're not doing anything bad.
Right.
You just get used to it, and it pushed me further into another life, and it pushed me further into the world.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to ask you this, and you can veto.
Okay.
So some of the things that you saw with children over there, with different people over there, can you elaborate on some of those things and how they affected you?
Okay, I have one story I can say.
Okay.
There was this kid that we used to see when we were running missions. We used to call him Superman. It was this little Bedouin kid. He would come up to us and flex. And you didn't know, like, I'm trying to word this properly. When you see someone who's living their life in what they think is a biblical way, and they're giving it their all, and literally this kid, you throwing him a Jolly Rancher was life changing for him.
Yeah.
How could you allow God to live that way? How would God allow that to live that way? I kept questioning that thing.
Yeah.
I kept questioning the darkness in the world based off what I knew,
right,
of the biblical things I knew.
Yeah.
Now, this was all under false pretenses of biblical knowledge. My biblical knowledge was literally a sand granule.
Yeah.
When I needed the beach.
Yeah.
And that was a problem. I had that only a sand.
Right.
When I needed the beach.
Yeah.
So I was judging everything based off this little bit of sand I had.
Perspective.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it pushed me into a different life. It pushed me into running from God as hard as I could.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the part I wanted to get to, because we talk about worldview and big perspective on things, right? When you don't see clearly, when you don't understand clearly, and that's going to kind of be what we get into today. You see things wrong and you understand things wrong.
Yeah.
And then you place blame in the wrong places.
Right.
100%.
Right? So in those situations where, man, we see things, and I think everybody kind of goes through this phase, because I remember going through this phase and I'm like, God, why is this happening? Like, why are these people this way? Why is this happening here? Why? It's just,
yes,
you're experiencing a lot of pain and seeing a lot of pain in life for the first time, a lot of times firsthand. And you're just like, why? I don't understand this, and then, as you said, once you start to get into the word, once you start to learn who he is, and also who he's made us to be, and who sometimes, unfortunately, he allows us to be because of our free will, you start to realize these problems are our own doing.
Yes.
We've created these monsters. And now we're like, well, why is this way? And it's like, well, let's go back through history. Like, we're given the history of Murfreesboro. Let's go back to the history of humanity.
Yeah.
Like, we've written the script for these things that we're
Yeah.
having to walk through and live through right now. And so it's all about your perspective and having yourself equipped to understand what you're really seeing.
100%.
Right? It's like you're reading a pop-up book to a kid who's never seen a book for the first time. How they view that versus what it really is totally different.
Right.
Because to them, they're like, oh, everything on this book is real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I can touch this. This is amazing. That's what a bear is, only that big, until they see a real bear.
Right.
Right? And then it's like, oh, bears are huge. Okay. This is just their representation.
Yeah.
Right?
We're also growing up in a world, too, where it's like, well, my kids are growing up in a world at school.
Mhm.
It's where I'm telling you, what you say isn't as important as how someone interprets what you say.
Yes.
Or how you say it.
Yeah.
So, like I told one of my kids, my 5th grade boys, I was like, I could say, hey, your hoodie is really awesome. He could take that as like, is he being sarcastic?
Right.
Like, is he insulting me? Like, I don't have control over how you take that compliment.
How he receives it, yeah.
But I intended it to be a compliment, but he could like turn it to be like he was insulting me.
Right.
But we don't get that. It's just perspective is everything,
It's
honestly.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It is.
Absolutely. So that experience starts to skew your perspective on humanity, on God,
Mhm.
and purpose and understanding. Now, did that ever switch before you came back, or was that just something you just?
To be honest with you, I stopped thinking about it. I
Gotcha.
started making jokes about my relationship with Christ. I said a few times, I feel like if I walked back into a church, either I'd catch on fire or it would.
Yeah.
Whichever came first. I think that was a joke I said.
I know it's a joke you said.
Yeah.
Like
It's definitely from you.
Yeah, 100%. I just kept running. That's the only way I know how to put it. I kept running into my own failures and my own mistakes and continuing to make those two.
Right.
In separate orders, no give and take.
Yeah.
Until he brought me to what I thought was my lowest point. He showed me that wasn't just that there was a trap door that could be moved, and when that trap door moved, I went back crawling.
Yeah,
it actually took a friend of mine, that my old boss, to crying in his office for 2 hours.
Yeah,
and him telling me the whole time, "You need Jesus."
Yeah,
and then I started going back to church shortly after, and then here we are.
Here we are.
Amazing.
Apparently, 4 years later, almost.
Yeah.
Time is relevant.
It does not seem like that at all. That's such a weird thing to think about. 4 years has passed.
Yeah.
It really is.
Well, it's kind of like, I think about how, like, you see how God views time. And like I told you, we've only known each other for a short time, a couple of years.
Yeah.
But it feels like you've always been there. I don't know, it's just weird.
Yeah.
The Holy Spirit just like weaves time into relationships with people.
I would 100% agree with that.
It's so strange, but I'm not complaining. I love it.
No, it's fucking awesome, man. It's like you said, sometimes blood is not the family.
No.
Sometimes it's the people that you get knit together with.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason God says that that's not my brother. Jesus said that, who are my brothers? My brothers are all those who follow me.
Yeah.
Like, there's a reason he said that, because we are brothers and sisters in Christ.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
It keeps growing from there.
Yeah.
I guess I was being disingenuous when I said, here I am now. Here I am now because of the steps I took to get here.
Yeah.
That's the best way I know I put it.
Yes.
I
And you've taken a lot of steps. We've worked through a lot of things. I know you get tired of me pushing buttons sometimes, but
no,
I try my best to do whatever God is like, hey, I need you to tell him this and tell him that. And as I've mentioned before, when me and Toby were talking on a different episode, there's going to come a point where he's going to tell me less and less for you.
Yes.
And that's going to be the portion of, okay, it's time for me to step back and our relationship change.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, we're getting closer and closer to that. And I guess after 4 years, I see why.
Yeah.
I did not realize it'd been that long.
Yeah. I would say the first year we
long.
weren't in the relationship we are in now.
Yeah.
We were in the getting to know each other build.
Yes.
And then for the past 2 years, it's been what we are in now.
Yeah. Because he was an absolute stranger to me. I don't know if I mentioned how we
I'm cool with talking about that. I think it's a cool story.
I'm trying to think if I mentioned it before on the podcast, but I don't think I used your name. But if we have, so we'll just mention it again.
Yes, that's
so at our church, I do lighting, media, whatever. I'm kind of a freelance back there. I do whatever. Yes. I quit my full-time position as light person because God told me it was time to give it away. And so now I'm just a floater, but usually I'm in the back.
Yeah.
I think I was still over it at the time.
Yeah, you were doing lights that day.
And so I'm in the back because that's where our light board is. And what I try to be every Sunday is open to whatever God is showing me, whether it's a person, whether it's, somebody you need to go say hey to, go get that guy's phone number, go invite that person to lunch, whatever. And so on this particular Sunday, because I'd seen you there before, you can't miss him. He's the biggest guy in the back row of the church.
It's not because I didn't care. It's because I'm tall. People can't see if you stand up.
It's a courtesy. It's a courtesy to the smaller people.
If I go sit in the front row, 5 people behind me can see.
You hear spit wads hit the back of his head. Hey, sit down. I am. But he sits in the back row, and the Lord is like, "I need you to go talk to that guy." And I was like, "I don't know this guy. Like, why would I just randomly go talk to?" This is a conversation I'm having in my head with the Lord as I'm doing lights for service. He's like, "I'm not doing that." He's like, "You are doing that." And so, probably 30 minutes of this dialogue of, "Yeah, you need to go talk to him." And then I realized there was a parents meeting for fine arts that day that I had to go to.
Nice.
And I was like, "Oh, good, I'm out of this." And he's like, "No, you need to ask somebody else to do it out of the group." And so I asked Tim Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Tim. He's also been on here.
Timmy.
And I was like, "Hey, Tim." I texted him. I was like, "Hey, there's a guy back here I need to talk to, but I got to go to a parent meeting. Can you come and talk to him? And then you went up front that Sunday, and I didn't know this because I didn't know him, but struggling with a decision that you had to make.
Yeah, I'm fine talking about that. I was in a position at my old job where I wasn't sure what my standing was, and I felt like I needed to leave, but I didn't know if I was supposed to. I didn't know if this was my greed or if this was God, and I was struggling, asking God, "Give me a sign. I'm too dumb to understand what you're saying. Like you're speaking Japanese, and I don't understand, bro.
Yep.
We're going to come. We're going to get on English, okay?"
No, you
I need the translation.
Exactly.
So he sent the translation. So Tim talked with you afterwards,
and I busted out in tears because it was like the answer to my prayer.
Yeah.
And Tim looked at me like I was crazy.
Yeah, Tim texted me later, and he's like, I don't know what I said to him, but he just started crying. I was like, Tim, what did you do?
I just like listen to Kyle
Well, like he didn't even say much. He just said
he didn't have to. Huh?
No.
He doesn't have to ever. Like
he came up to me. He's like, "We have this men's group on Thursday. We'd love you to go." And my old job, 100% could make that happen.
yeah.
And I was like, "Okay, this is you're wanting me. I need to find something new.
Yes,
This is it.
awesome.
This is your sign. You want me to join this, and I gotta find something different."
Yeah.
And then I started like just to finish up the story. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I started putting my resume out there more hardcore. 2 companies ended up fighting over me.
Nice.
I like to the last minute, like both of them kept offering more and changing more. I ended up with the company I'm in now. It's pretty awesome. It's doing the best I ever have.
Yeah.
All because I was smart enough to follow God's path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never,
For the first time ever.
Never underestimate the ask.
Yes.
Just ask him to come to the small group.
Yep.
It's like that's all it was.
Yep. And it just speaks to obedience and what God can do if we're just obedient.
Amen.
Like, imagine if I tap out of that, or Tim taps out of that, and now he's like, I'm still waiting on an answer.
Yep.
And God could have sent it a whole different way.
Right.
But he's like, hey, if you're really about this life, I need you to do this.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. And so those are challenges that we have to deal with as leaders. Like, okay, God, like I said, I'm in it, but do I have to be that far in? And he's like, yeah, because you decided to put this mantle on that I offered to you.
Yep.
And so you don't get to tap out, you don't get to bow out, you know. And so there's challenges in all of that that we have to face, and those are things that you're starting to now have to face, leading the Rangers ministry and different things of that nature. Understanding like there's tough things I have to do,
100%.
There's tough things I have to say, and everybody is not going to enjoy it. You know? But
you had said
obedience.
something earlier about like how we have the choice, the free will to like choose this.
Yeah.
And I think there's something very unique about the Christian lifestyle where it's like God is not forcing anyone to be a Christian, right? So now that we shouldn't be doing that either. But you can just from hearing the story, there's different. You make decisions differently whenever you feel like you have a choice in the matter.
Yes.
If you're forced to do it because you have to,
right?
You don't do it with as much zeal. You don't do it from your heart. But we struggle to do it anyway from our heart.
Yes.
Even having the choice of choosing Christianity.
Yes,
we do.
It's just really, it's funny to me how that just emphasizes that much more how he wants us to choose him because he knows that what he asks of us, what he requires of us, we're still going to have that humanity. And it's like, because I'm not being forced to do it, I still have this whole like back and forth. It's just interesting how that unfolds.
Oh yeah,
just with the Christian walk.
And it's so beautiful the picture that he paints out of our obedience.
Yeah,
like I would never imagined the places we've had to go through and walk through from a simple invitation to join a men's group, right? And just the places he's taking us together and individually, you know, it's just, it was an answer to my prayers. I'm just going to be honest with you, because I was in a place working with these men's groups of like, God, I can only do so much by myself. Like, I know you're showing me all these things and you're telling me all these things and like, this is awesome. But you're realizing I have a limitation in this list of things that you've shown me. I was like, you got to send some help. Like, you know, Toby was helping me, but as much as he could, he already had his hands full. Then their families start expanding. You know, you got grandkids. And it was that season of Toby had to go do his thing.
Right.
He couldn't be there with me through these things. I was like, okay, Lord, so what do I do? Because I'm not getting anywhere, you know. And some people that I thought were like, okay, well, maybe these are the people, and they turned out obviously not to be the people, and you know, moved on from our church, moved on from all of the things, and so it kind of left me in this place of honestly feeling like I was just worn out. I was just worn out. I was just like, I'm gonna keep doing this because you're telling me to, but I don't know what you want me to do without help. Uh, and that's what you have been. You have been a huge help to me in this journey that we're on, trying to do this men's ministry stuff and helping guys grow through these groups. And you being willing to step up. And Blake likes to say I put people in a chokehold.
No, I wouldn't say that one.
It's fine if I do.
No, it was.
Oh,
So like I feel like
this is the first step.
so like with us, it was like what us we were supposed to talk about today. It was working out your spiritual muscles. We started doing lesson plans, like all these plans that you had with the men's group.
Yeah.
And I didn't just take the words as words. I took them to heart.
Yeah.
And the more I took them to heart, the more I could feel God saying, I'm not done with you yet.
Yes.
And then you kept saying, hey, would you like to do this more? And I'm like, no. Why are you? And as I was going to say no, Blake makes me laugh when I say this, but like everyone has this relationship with the Holy Spirit where they say like he gracefully touched my shoulder and told me no, mine beats me like with a baseball bat, and like everyone don't have the same Holy Spirit because not everyone needs to hear the same way.
Yes,
and so I'll be like, and I can feel the wind of the bat swinging back and forth. Like, say it, I dare you. And I'm like, never mind, we're gonna do what you want me to do because clearly the man upstairs is telling me I can't say no. So
yeah,
so it's I was being obedient in what I needed to be, and then he was forcing me to be obedient in other things.
Yep.
That's the only way I know how to put it.
It's a strong suggestion.
Yes, because
encouraging it.
Our God is a gracious God. He wants you to ask. We were talking about this on Thursday, actually.
Yep.
He wants us to ask. So it was more him saying, "This is my will. Go that way," but you don't have to.
You don't have to.
But just know when you don't, it's going to get harder.
Yep.
Just if you just
Trouble,
say shut up and say yes.
Trouble.
Yeah, exactly.
Trouble
That's
sneaking in.
It's kind of like what happened with Jonah. You don't listen.
Yeah,
that whale's coming.
You get swallowed by the whale.
Yeah.
Making dumb decisions.
Yeah,
like fine.
It always seems extreme, but like God knows what we need. He knows
exactly.
He knows the deepest parts of us. So what looks extreme to one person is how Holy Spirit knows you intimately and knows how He knows that this is going to get through to him or her. So
He knows that Josh is targeted.
Yes, 100%. I am a mule.
Just a little stubborn, you know.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Jesus had disciple friends that were stubborn. It's fine. It worked out.
Look, I look at Peter and I can see myself, and it scares me. And it's like, exactly. I have the faith to walk on water, but I'm gonna look down. I have the faith to stand in front of the army for him, and I'm gonna cut off an ear.
Water,
but 3 minutes later, I might say sorry. I don't know that man.
Yes.
My bad. My bad, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been awesome, man. I guess that's why it seems like it's gone so fast. Because we've walked through a bunch of stuff together. My stuff, your stuff, our stuff. Our relationship has grown a lot.
It has.
There's a lot of things that I confide in you in, and it goes both ways.
100%.
Like I said, that's just part of our relationship evolving into a new level. And there's still things I'm like, okay, Lord. So we're still working on that.
Yeah.
And then I send you something, and you're like, oh, I got to do that. And I was like, that's what the Lord said. I'm sorry. Like I'm not making the rules. He's making the rules. So like there's times I'm thinking, okay, so this is probably the season where this changes drastically, and then he's like, not yet. You know, so I know that day is coming. I'm looking forward to that day because that's going to mean he's going to unleash some things in you that have not been unleashed yet, and it's going to be awesome. You know, I think about the times when me and Toby used to go through things, and man, I was just at this place where like I had to take everything to Toby. Like I don't know what to do. I don't know what this is. And then just all of a sudden, man, he's like, "Hey, I need you to write this down. This is the Lord talking." I'm like, "Okay, what am I writing this down for?" And I'm writing stuff down on boards, and he's like, "I give you your instructions now.
Yeah,
it's not coming from Toby. It's not secondhand information anymore. Like, you want to know something, you talk to me. You need an answer, you talk to me. And so though that's the places where, I was like, okay, there's a shifting that's happening here, and understanding that. And having somebody walk through it in front of you is so much easier because it helps you recognize the signs of, oh, this is shifting.
Yeah.
And I need to also be able to step up, and realize I can't always go to that safety net. I need to go to the Father.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's just part of our dynamic that is growing and changing.
I've been feeling that change, to be honest with you, and with I'll just be honest because that's just kind of how I am. It's this year you said that I need to start writing things down, and I hate writing things down. And I was just like, when you said that, I was like, man, why y'all gotta be like that? And I was like, like I had to start journaling. I was like, I don't like you two right now.
Yeah.
And
he was mostly mad at me.
Yeah, it was. Because I deeply prayed about it, and then I was like, man, why do I feel the same thing? It's like, cool. I disagree with both of you. And then I was watching. I forgot the name of that movie. I keep forgetting the name of that movie. It's about the maids from Mississippi back in the 60s, 50s, and 60s.
Oh, well.
The Help, yes. So I was watching it for like the 40th.
Is this burning?
No. I was watching it for like the 40th time ever, but there's a part in it when she's talking about being a writer. That her son wanted to be a writer, but his life was taken from him. And that she had tried practice writing, but the only writing she had ever done was writing down her prayers.
Mm-hmm.
I rewind that movie like 3 times because it was like it was screaming that at me. And I was like, why is this standing out to me so much? And then I heard it as audibly as I am hearing y'all talk to me right now. It was, you're to write your prayers.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been doing.
Yeah.
And there have been times I'm still reaching out to one, but there's a lot of times I'm reading it. I'm like, I'll go back and read it. Like, okay, that's what I need to do.
Yeah.
That's where I need to go.
Yep.
Okay, I answered my own question.
Yeah.
Let's do this. And it's not me answering it. It's God using my own words because I'm lazy and I don't like to write. So I use talk text.
Yes.
So
I tried the video journal.
Okay.
Maybe I need to pick that back up. But I even let Slack on that. I'm like,
How
I used to write. Well, my issue is I used to write and journal all the time, but I would lose track of time. So I'd be feeling like it'd be 15 minutes. I look up, it's been 3 hours, and I'm like,
okay,
whoa,
okay.
Everybody's like, "Are you coming tonight?" And I'm like, yeah.
That time management stuff.
Like I was like in my dorm room one time writing. I was in the commons area, and I was going out. I can't remember what the topic was. It's in one of my notebooks, but I was crouched down for so long. When I sat up, my stomach was hurt. My abs were like on fire. I was like, how long have I been like crouched like this writing? So it's an endeavor. The Holy Spirit, when He really speaks, it's like, I don't have time limit on it. So.
Yeah. And
then a time where I have to be more time, my conscientious. I'm like, so I don't always do it, but I need to get better at writing it down. So it's up to me too.
But it's one of the ways I've noticed I'm getting a lot of my talking through though.
Yeah.
It's from him that where it's becoming a 2-way path.
Yeah.
So even though I disagreed with both of y'all, you're 100% right. Yes, you were.
So I did not call him to tell him this. I sent him a text because I knew he wouldn't like it. I was sitting on the couch. I think it was a Sunday.
I feel like it was.
I think it was a Sunday afternoon. I was just trying to relax, and I was just sitting there, and the Lord's like, "I need to text him and tell him this." I'm like, "What? Like what? I'm trying to take a nap.
Right.
Like, what are we doing right now?"
You understand he's bigger than me, right?
Yeah, and he hates this. Like, I'm just gonna text, and I text him. He's like, "What do you mean?" Like his text was just combative.
Yeah, I was mad.
His response, I could just see he was angry. I was like, "I'm sorry."
I was like, I told you, I didn't like it at first. I was like, I just agree with both of you. You're both wrong. And it just kept came. And I tried it at first, and I was getting a little bit, but I wasn't doing my prayers until I watched that movie, and it bounced off the page for me. And I'll miss a day now and then, but I am doing it almost every single day now.
Yeah.
And my Bible life has been really good, and I'm not bragging about that. Like I read my Bible almost every day, if not more. But my prayer life has always struggled. I struggle just talking to myself. That's what it feels like. And I know it's not, but it still feels weird just when you're sitting there praying.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, there are times it's easy and there's times it's hard. This has fixed that.
Yeah.
that I'm getting that open line of communication.
Yeah.
And then when I'm reading the word, I'm sometimes getting the answer into why I need to be too.
Right. I love that.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. There's still questions. I got to go to Dewan because I'm like, look, I think my exact words normally are, Dewan, I need some godly advice right now.
Yeah. There's still time with the military, Josh. So that,
Yeah.
You will give me this advice.
Yes.
Thank you.
yes. Like, there's a problem, I'm going to solve it military.
I'm asking
style.
you, but I'm also telling you.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had a recent one.
Yeah.
Josh wanted to kill some people, and I'm like, well, it's probably not the answer.
Right.
But
Yeah.
is it?
See, I'm
At this point in the game, I don't think that's the answer.
Yeah.
Maybe a few years ago, I'd have been like, go for it.
That's the
Let's
instinct.
let's just see where
I'm
it
glad
goes.
you reached out. Thanks.
Well, I wasn't going to do it, but I needed help navigating my feelings.
Yes.
It was on a spiritual level. Like, I could tell God was telling me, no, I needed to calm down, but I wasn't understanding. I needed additional guidance.
The thought's there. So before
Yes.
it goes into action, please help me.
Yes, please help me.
Please help me.
Please. I don't want to go back there. I don't want to go back. Awesome. So I guess we got to get to our topic for today.
We have in some ways.
Some ways, we kind of tippy-toed around it.
So you have a verse.
I do.
Um,
Because I came prepared.
he came prepared.
I want to throw shade, but I'm not going to.
Listen, I'm a little bit struggling with time management. It's fine.
You told me I would have to uplift you, you get mad at me. So, like, no, it's either way. It's
That's
like,
okay.
it's the catch-22 with you.
It is what it is.
It's all love. It's all out love.
It's all love, and it also is what it is. So,
So, bear with me.
the more old people talk about, it was the older I get, the truer it dreams.
Yes.
Perfectly fine.
So, I am horrible at reading things, so bear with me.
Hold on before you read that. So we're talking about working out spiritual muscles.
Correct.
Yes.
Right. And we're going to get into what that looks like and what it doesn't look like also.
Amen.
So you have a verse.
Verses, but yes.
And if I remember during editing, I'm going to put it on the screen. But if you don't see it on the screen, I'm sorry.
If you don't see it on the screen, it's 1 Timothy 4, 6 through
Do I
10.
need to text you to remind you? Hey, if you're doing Josh's editing today, you promise.
Please put it
But it is, if you explain these things to the brothers and sisters, Timothy, you will be a worthy servant of Christ Jesus, one who is nourished by the message of faith and the good teaching you have followed. Do not waste time arguing over godless ideas, old wives' tales. Instead, train yourself to be godly. Physically training is good, but training in godliness is much better, promising benefits in this life and in the life to come. This is a trustworthy saying, and everyone should accept it. This is why we work hard to continue to struggle. For our hope is in the living God, who is the Savior of all people, and particularly all believers.
That's good, Josh.
Awesome.
Well,
All right,
I picked this topic, and then this one came out to me.
I mean, you read very well.
Yeah,
That was
thank
great.
you.
You always beat yourself.
Great reading, great verse. I think we can end it there.
So, yeah.
I mean, the word just tells us the end, good and bad there.
I mean, that's good stuff, man. So you want to break this down for us?
Yes, I can, actually.
Break it down for us.
I got to bring up my notes. All right, so
Break it.
essentially it's saying that if our lives, we have a walk we have to walk.
Mhm.
We have benefits and consequences to not walking that walk, and we'll get into that. But the beginning is you have a walk you have to walk, and that walk is having an intimate, personal relationship with Christ,
Right?
And building your spiritual muscles. I am a large man that needs to lose weight. I'm working on that.
You definitely are.
But there are a lot of people out here that can bench press 4,000 pounds and run the 5K in 6 minutes. But you know what? They have no spiritual life.
Yeah.
They have no spiritual muscles.
Yeah.
They don't know their Father.
Yeah.
They don't know Jesus. And the moment they walk into heaven, Jesus is going to say, I don't know you.
I don't know you. And the sad thing is, in that, because they don't, because they don't know their Father and their Creator,
Mm-hmm.
they don't know themselves.
Agreed. Sorry, go ahead.
Like they're trying to be something and trying to build something and leave this mark and this reputation, and a lot of it, man. This is why you see so many celebrities bottom out and they just completely crash because they're trying to be something that they're not made to be.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, we're all made to be something individually, right?
Yes.
And when you're trying to be something that you're not made to be, it's like, what's that? The square peg through the circle?
Yeah, round
Little
hole.
kid toys?
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
It's just going to be all this issues and resistance and friction. And you can try to wedge it in there, but man, that's going to be really uncomfortable.
There can be success found in the worldly things.
Yeah.
There can be.
Yeah.
Because Satan will give you whatever it takes to keep you separate from God.
Yes.
And the more you spiritually train yourself, and I call this building your toolbox. You've used this term as well. It's once you start building your toolbox, you start being able to respond to life events. And it allows you to see when Satan's trying to give you a rose when really it's a thorn.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times that's what's going to happen. Satan will show you the flower, but he forgets to show you the bush is full of thorns.
Yes.
And the amount of sacrifice, the amount of bloodshed you're going to have to follow that, to get that rose, it's not worth it.
It is not.
When God is offering you a daisy, it comes with no pain.
Yeah.
But it might be a little harder to get to.
Yeah.
And if anyone does gardening, daisies are perennials. Not perennials. They only come back one season.
We got you. Shout out to the gardening people.
Right.
Shout out to my wife. Her favorite flower is a
community,
daisy.
Yes.
We're
covering all of it today. Gardening, everything.
Yeah. I feel like too, it really makes you stop to think about not even like all the accolades and like all the success that you can have through the world. Because like you said, that stuff is okay to have, but how much of that is forming your identity? Like what are you allowing to create to be your identity?
100%.
So I'm a great actor. Yeah, I can do this. I can do this movie, that movie. But are you creating this identity on being a great actor or being a great person? Like you need to like really think about whenever you're going for success or trying to accumulate all these things, like how is that affecting the person you're becoming, and what is that saying about you, and why are you doing it? Why do you feel like you need all of these things?
And think about how hard you have to work to maintain that.
Maintenance is
perceived image.
Yeah,
it's a killer.
Yeah, this song called "Simple" by Elevation Rhythm is like my favorite song right now. It's just it talks about just that stuff. Like, what are you devoting your time into building? Like, it goes through. And identity is huge these days.
Oh yeah, yeah. And people are crashing and burning on their false identities right now. And it's really sad to see.
Yeah,
like you're just like, what happened? And they don't know who they are.
Yeah.
So many people just don't know who they are.
Yeah.
And they're trying everything except him.
Yeah. I think running your race has less to do about what all you can gain and more about you doing the intrinsic work, like you working on things within yourself that need to be dealt with, the root issues of things.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's good. That is good. And that's part of the journey because you learn who you are in that.
Yeah.
Like if you just avoid the process of doing the work to figure out, why do I do what I do?
Yeah.
Why do I think what I think? And realizing the creator of everything has put certain things in you on purpose.
Yeah.
Amen.
And gaining that perspective is what's important.
That's what's important because now it explains why I do this, this, and this.
Correct.
And why that seems natural to me. Or to someone else, you're like, no, I'm not doing that. That's not my thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you understand why. Because I'm built for one thing. He's built for another thing. You're built for another thing. Dill's built for something different. Right? Yes. And that's the beauty of the kingdom.
Same body, different parts.
Yep. We're all built for something different. And man, when we put it together, it is magic.
And that's why everyone says you going to call it songs like Casting King song, Casting Crown song, the East and the West. Why aren't the hands moving? Why aren't the feet moving?
That's a whole song. Man, you're dating yourself. You also said the word rewind. What does that mean? The kids out there are like, what is rewind? Rewind? What is that? What does that mean?
VCR. What is that?
Thanks.
No, I love it because I'm nostalgic. So I'm like,
we understand.
Josh.
I have a hard drive in the back of my truck. And earlier I had some kids I was taking from that camp out, and they was like, "What is this? A VHS?" I was like, "Oh my goodness." I'm that old. I'm officially that old. The gray hairs are growing faster than I need them to. Shout out to my wife for cutting them out. You're awesome.
What's an age?
He said that.
That would blow people's minds. That would blow their minds if we could find an 8-track.
I don't know if you've seen the movie Held Up, but there's an 8-track in the car.
Find one that's working would be amazing.
Because you could probably find an old one for
at the antique malls, and you probably can.
But I don't know if it'd probably be hard to find one that you can hook to a speaker.
That works.
The external speaker.
We could rig it up for sure.
Yeah. We
They
have
can do
talents.
VHS to
We
DVD.
need
they
that
can
in
do
youth. We need an 8-track player in youth. I feel like it's a thing.
Release a lesson on it. At least a spiritual.
I may bring that in. I'm gonna find one. I'm gonna bring it in.
You do it. You got to find like.
I'm supposed to speak in May.
Oh, really?
I may
Nice.
incorporate the 8-track.
Do it.
Really? In Reach?
Yeah.
Oh,
The first Wednesday in May.
see, first Wednesdays I always teach a class.
Gotcha.
You have to push it back Wednesday because the back Wednesday.
I can't. Because second and third is family groups.
Okay.
You
And
could make
then fourth is Unite.
Hadley teach lesson for you and be there.
Can't teach the young ones.
Or make
Like,
bands
me and my
with
wife
that.
teach a class.
Wow.
We do it on the
This
first
is ready,
Wednesday,
no?
so
Man,
yeah.
Vance trying to run a class.
Vance, it's all you today, buddy. He's ready now.
We do the first Wednesday. Me and my wife do on purpose so that every one of our commanders in that class can go to prayer if they want to.
Oh.
We take the
That's not
sacrifice so they
special
don't have to.
prayers.
Yes. So
Yeah, my wife's my right hand man right down there, or right hand woman.
I like it.
it's awesome. Awesome. So anyway, I led us down a rabbit
You
trail.
did, you totally
It's fine.
did, but it's
I'm sorry.
okay.
The 8-track snuck in.
You did.
Took over.
Literally.
He started it. He said
It's my
he
fault.
was making fun of my age
It's my fault. It's fine.
on this day.
So
rude this
in this verse, I like how it talks about physical training is good,
Yes.
but training for godliness is much better.
So this is actually, I was glad you pulled it up. I actually have notes on this one. It was
Yeah.
when I was reading the passage and I was writing everything down, God
Mhm.
threw into me training your spirit and train your mind. And this is something that I 100% why I brought up the toolbox earlier. When you start to train your spirit,
Mhm.
you start to train your mind. So when those sins that you know you struggle with come to fruition, you can have something in your toolbox that you can pull out.
Yeah.
So that you can say, no. My God says this.
Mhm.
This is not how we're going to handle this.
Mhm.
I'm going to go back to prayer and I'm going to go back to leaning on my God.
Yeah.
And Satan, you can get out of my mind and go on about yourself.
Yeah.
So my anger sometimes gets the best of me.
Right.
God has openly told me that's going to be the thorn in my side that I have to learn to control.
Yeah.
It's not something I would ever have pulled from me. It's going to be the thing that pulls me back to Christ.
Mm.
And it's on me to constantly seek prayer about that.
Yeah.
It's on me to not rely on Dwan, not to rely on Blake's, not to rely on the Tobys of the world,
Yeah.
but to rely on God
Mhm.
to pull me back to Him and to pull that out of me and to keep it under control.
Yeah.
And if I don't,
and to use it for what it was intended for.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's going great. Like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing there.
Yeah.
I'm still constantly battling. I'm still constantly going against it. But it's going great.
Yeah.
The first thing was me quitting smoking. I had to quit smoking to get that out.
Yeah.
Hey, officially today, 1 year.
1 year.
Yes,
sir. Yes, sir.
I quit this day last year.
It's awesome.
Amazing.
Congratulations.
It's also
No.
I'm doing it.
No, you're not.
I'm doing it. It's also his birthday, guys.
Woo, happy birthday, Josh Goad.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So now everyone knows what's this
Yes.
film.
We'll cue the cake in the effects.
Is that what that's for?
Right
You
over
did that
here.
for Josh? Happy birthday signs?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
it totally wasn't for Kaylee.
totally wasn't for my kids.
Yeah.
Forget that.
We had 3 March birthdays, so I just left
I
the
did-
thing up there all month. Kayla,
I remember this. Yeah.
Sean, all of them birthdays in March. So
I wanted to say too, listening to you talk about that, I don't go to the gym. I don't go to that place. But the times I have gone and visited and frequented that establishment, I would even say that it almost takes what you're talking about, that spiritual and the mental strengthening, to keep you going physically.
Yes.
Because when I've worked out, there's been some times where I've told myself, listen, this is stay dead. I can't breathe. I need to stop.
yes.
But mentally, it's like, listen, you need to keep going, right? There was a time when me and Dylan worked out, and like I'm significantly bigger than Dylan, but I outlasted him on the little bicycle thing. He got tired. He's like, I'm just gonna go back home to the house. I was like, all right, bro, see you in 15 minutes. Where are you going? But my mental is what kept me going physically. So I think that there's like something about training yourself spiritually, training yourself mentally, helps you go the extra mile physically if you need to. You can't just rely on the physical because you will exhaust.
100%.
Yeah.
It's why we have trials.
Yeah.
It's why we have trials. It's why God keeps giving us trials. It's not because He hates us. It's not because He wants you to suffer. It's because He's trying to help you train.
Yeah, they're going to come anyway.
The world is darkened by our sin.
Yeah.
He is the only light out of it. And what we talked about in my past, it took me learning, seeing the whole beach to be able to understand that.
Yeah.
And if you don't train your mind through these trials to pull away. Like one of these things that my triggers that make me angry. If I don't train my mind and train my spirit to say, hey, that's not what my God says.
Yeah.
To give grace beyond my measure. And Toby's not here, but we said his name enough. So I'm going to give a Tobyism.
Yes.
My favorite Tobyism, I've said it 1,000 times in the men's group. He doesn't remember he says it. And it's one of, I think, the wisest things you've ever put out is your love and your grace will never be enough.
Yeah.
You have to rely on God's.
Absolutely.
When you love your wife, your love for you is never going to be enough. You have to rely on your God's. For your children, your love is not enough.
Yeah.
It has to be God's. Grace goes the same way.
Mm.
Your grace is not going to be enough.
It's not even close.
You have to rely on God's grace.
Yeah.
And that's why I have to remind myself all the time, like, okay, that thing just made me angry. But you know what? God would probably say, it's okay, I love you.
Yeah.
We'll walk through this together.
Yep.
And I just do that the best of my abilities.
Yeah. Like, the thing I've told you is like the word says be angry but sin not.
Yes.
And like work through that anger, but make sure it's not turning into I'm gonna now have sin attached to this.
Yes.
Where I'm acting out or speaking out of place and all those different things. So definitely don't want to go there. Definitely don't want